Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you all so much for being here. In case you couldn't tell, I'm Gene. And
I'm Raina.
Raina. And we are very happy to be in conversation with you. I want to start by just giving a quick visual overview of Raina's career. So Raina is probably most well known for her trilogy, Smile, Sisters, and Guts. These are all based on her life. They're autobio comics. She has also done comics that are not directly about her life, but pull from her life. These include Drama and Ghosts. And she's also done comics starring other people's characters. She did several of the graphic novels in the Babysitter's Club series, and these are based on the original novels by Anne M. Martin. Her second most recent book is this one right here, The Cartoonist Club, which is a collaboration between her and a legendary cartoonist by the name of Scott McCloud. Raina, I'd love to hear a little bit more about this book and how it came about.
Okay, should I do that now?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Okay.
It's really big on the screen right now.
It is, okay.
This is the time.
Scott McCloud's a guy who I read when I was 16 years old for the first time, and he's a really smart guy who wrote a book called Understanding Comics. Did you read that when you were a teenager or a young person?
I'm a little bit older than you, so I read it when I was 19.
Okay, I guess I was 16 and you were 19.
That's
so
right.
We probably both read it and went, whoa, this guy's so smart.
So smart.
But
the smartest.
But we were both like probably baby cartoonists at that time. Like we're going to talk about that soon. But we were both like, how do we get better at making this comics thing? And Scott McCloud was the smartest guy. So I read that book when I was a kid, and then I was like making comics, and then flash forward 20 years when I was actually friends with Scott McCloud, and suddenly I had all these young readers reading my comics and saying things like, Raina, do you have a book to recommend on how to get better at making comics? And I was like, Scott McCloud's book is probably a little bit over your head as an 8-year-old. I wish there was a book like Understanding Comics, but for 8-year-olds. And actually, Gene, you were one of the people who I thought maybe someday Gene could make a book for young readers like Understanding Comics, but you weren't doing that.
I have tried to become the Asian Scott McCloud, but it hasn't worked yet.
Scott wasn't doing it. No one was doing it. And so eventually I was like, I think it has to be me to do it. But I couldn't do it alone. So I approached Scott McCloud and I said, Scott, would you like to help me figure out what you would get if you crossed Understanding Comics with Smile? And 5 years later, this was the result of that puzzle that I presented to him.
Amazing.
So that's what it is.
And this is one of my favorite kind of comics because it is not just a fun story, but it is also educational. Right.
Hopefully.
That's something that I think we here in America, we just don't have a lot of.
Yeah.
When you go to Japan or Korea, there are shelves and shelves of educational comics. And this is one of the few that's on the shelves now.
That's what we hope for, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the, I know you did a tour for this.
Yeah.
What's some of the feedback that you've gotten from young readers?
So this book had a little tutorial for how to make a mini comic out of a single sheet of paper. So this book is a story, but it also has a lot of tutorials and ideas and stuff that you can use in a classroom or stuff that you can use if you're just a budding cartoonist who wants to figure out how to make stuff on your own. So the best part was when kids started making mini comics and bringing them to Scott and I and saying, look what we made that was inspired by the work that you showed us in the book. So I think that was my favorite part. And we were like, congratulations, you are now a member of the Cartoonist Club.
That's so great.
It was great.
Can I ask how many of you have actually read the Cartoonist Club? That's great. Now, if you didn't raise your hand, you know exactly what to ask for the holidays now. Like Raina, I am also a cartoonist. Both of us, we've both been at this for over 20 years. Here are some of the books that I've worked on. The one I'm probably most well known for is this yellow one right here, American Born Chinese.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks. And like Raina, I've also worked on books starring characters that I did not create. So I got to work on the Avatar Last Airbender comics, and I'm currently working on the Books of Clash, which star characters from this really popular video game called Clash of Clans. Now, what I want to do with us tonight is start from our beginnings. We'd like to share our entire journeys as cartoonists with you. So from the beginning. Now, the first question I want to ask is, who can guess who is who in these pictures? I'm just kidding.
It's confusing because we're sitting in chairs that don't necessarily correspond with the answer to that.
That's right. We were trying to confuse you. Raina, what were you like as a kid?
I was kind of shy. I started reading comics when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I read them in the newspaper. So I was reading the funnies, San Francisco Chronicle, thank you, a native of this city that we're in right now. I really like to draw. I really like to read. I really like to watch cartoons on TV. Big fan of the Disney afternoon. I went to Lakeshore Elementary School and Aptos Middle School. And I sat by myself at lunchtime a lot reading comic books. And, I had friends, but I always wanted more friends who were into the stuff that I was into. So I always wished I had comics friends to hang out with.
Like a cartoonist club.
Like a cartoonist club, for example. Yeah, aspirational thinking. What were you like as a kid, Gene?
I think we're very similar. I also loved Disney Afternoon, and I loved reading comic books, and I loved drawing. So I know that's something that both of us did when we were very young. Here is some very early Raina Telgemeier work. Can you see some telltale signs of her style emerging even here?
The writing, the drawing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the cats on this on these pages, and also about the dedication?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of books where it was like wish fulfillment, where I was like, I would like a cat, Mom and Dad. We were not allowed to have a cat because my dad was allergic to cats, and also our apartment complex said no pets. I actually do have a cat now that looks a lot like this cat on the left-hand side. I have a cat named Kiku. He's orange and stripy. And I always dedicated these books to my sister, Amara. I don't know why, but I guess I was like, well, every book has a dedication. And I was like, she loves cats too. Do we have the cover of this book on the next slide by chance? We do not. Okay, well, this book was called Onion the Kitten. And it was like, I have a title. My name is the author illustrator. And then there was a dedication page. And then the girl gets the kitten on the first page. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing. And then by page 3 or 4, the story would totally peter out. So it was just like, I made this book and I made everything important and the girl gets the kitten and then there's no story beyond that. It was just, that was the satisfaction for me. It was the part that, and then I didn't know what to do with it.
I see.
Yeah. So
you know what I got from your story though is
what?
You said you have a cat that kind of looks like this.
Yeah. So the wish fulfillment came true.
Yeah. So that's the magic then is if you want something, you should draw it. And then as an adult, you'll get it.
But I never felt like I was good at the actual storytelling part, like the conflict and the problem solving part. It was just like, I want the happy thing to happen. And once it does, that's all that matters to me.
That's a great place to start though, right? With stories. That's an awesome place to start. This is another piece of early Raina Telgemeier art. I wanted to include this one because I found it really stunning. How old were you?
I was probably 7 when I drew this.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Do you want to tell a little bit about this?
I'll talk a little bit about this. Yeah, I was really obsessed with these books. My family's here. My mom's going to be like, I know what you're talking about. We ordered these books from this series called Ready, Set, Grow. And it was this series of social emotional learning books that were created in the 1970s. And it was all about how to solve your problems, how to get along with your siblings and learning to be a good neighbor and all these. It was a lot of kids being sad and fighting with each other but then being happy at the end of the story. And the artist was this guy named Ernie Hergenroder, but his artist pen name was Hergy. And I was just absolutely obsessed with his art. And this way that he drew shoes and the way that he drew pants. And I would always ask about it and ask my mom, why did they wear long pants with the bottoms that cover the backs of their shoes? Because this was the 80s and we were all wearing pants folded up.
Yep.
But the kids in these pictures wore bell bottoms. And I don't know, it was old fashioned somehow. But I started just copying the way that he drew everything. And also it kind of looks like Strawberry Shortcake characters, which I was also obsessed with. So my style became this hybrid of his art style plus the Strawberry Shortcakey style. So I started drawing these pictures of these kids who were fighting with each other. And then, the other kids walking past and she's really happy and she's got her lunchbox. And I mean, I was trying to figure out things like perspective. And these shoes are pointed towards the camera, and that lunchbox is a cubist experiment, I guess. And but I don't know what's going on with the knuckles on this hand, but that one's in a fist. And so, I mean, I was learning to see. I was learning to look at expressions and emotions, and I don't know. I didn't know where I was going with any of this, but there's a lot going on in this picture.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, I have to, I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to include this one in the slideshow is because it fits with the themes of the book that we're going to talk about later, right? Like you have very distinct emotions on these faces at the age of 7, which I think is really, really stunning.
And I've never spoken to a single person that's ever heard of these books, but we had like 25 of them,
and they were super influential.
Totally, yeah.
The other moral of the story that I'm hearing is, if you want to develop your own style, it's okay to start by copying
absolutely
an artist that you admire.
You can even trace.
Yeah,
just don't try to sell that and then say that it's your own thing. Yeah.
Now, speaking of wish fulfillment, I feel like this happened again. It's not just the cat. It is also this, right?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about this.
Well, this is age 11 on the left and probably age 9 on the right. I did tons of fan art. Like I drew fan art of Calvin and Hobbes. And then also I drew fan art of the Babysitter's Club, which was my favorite book series when I was in 4th and 5th grade. You never know what's going to end up being your full-time job 17 years after you draw fan art of that thing.
That's right.
People ask me things like, how do you learn to draw shoes? And I say, you start out doing it really badly, and eventually you get better at it if you just look at it enough times and draw it enough times. But you start somewhere. You don't always start out good. In fact, usually you don't start out good.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what drew you to the Babysitter's Club prose novels?
All of my friends were reading them and everybody was talking about them. And I got them all from the Scholastic book clubs, flyers. Wow. They were just really popular in my 4th grade class.
So it's a real full circle moment.
Yeah, yeah.
You've not only gotten to draw the Babysitter's Club graphic novels, but you are also a part of that Scholastic book
I am,
fair.
Yeah.
Did you ever draw that? Is that why that came true?
What?
The Scholastic book fair?
No.
Okay.
No, I guess that's coming.
Well, I also did a lot of drawing when I was a kid. I guess here are a couple of things that I drew. I guess I was really into both drawing monkeys and also writing my name over and over and over again. And here's also a page from an early comic book. I don't think I ever finished it. So I have no idea what the story was going to be about. I think this was the only page that I drew. I have to tell you, it took a long time for me to develop the stamina to finish an entire story, right? In the beginning, I would just draw 1 page or 2 pages or 3 pages and then stop. Did you have that as well?
Onion the Kitten is a great example.
That's right. Now, can I ask, how did you eventually figure out how to finish a story?
I started with small stories. So by the time I was in high school and then right after high school, Lowell High School, by the way, anyone? Class of 95? Anyone? Hey, how's it going? I love it. We could do this all night. It's where was I? High school, and then City College of San Francisco.
How'd you figure out how to finish?
I was like, okay, short stories, and I started seeing mini comics. I started going to mini comics conventions, and we met at APE for the first time, Alternative Press Expo in San Francisco. So here's some like old comic convention days. Some of the friends that we made in these circles. I was like, people can do like 8-page stories, or you can do a bunch of short stories and collect them into like little mini comic formats. And so a story does not have to be very long. It can be a single page. It can be a couple of pages, and you can do like little anthology booklets and stuff. So that's empowering. It's empowering to finish short stories, and then people read them and collect them. Yeah. Did you do the same thing?
That's right. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Don't start by trying to finish a 200-page graphic novel. Start by finishing a 4-page comic or a 6-page comic or an 8-page comic. And what both Raina and I did when we were first starting off, many people draw comics as kids and then they stop after they become adults. And what we did was we kept going.
We did.
And not only did we keep going, we would also make these comics into books and sell them at comic book conventions, which is kind of how we met, right? I don't totally remember exactly when we met.
I do.
You really do?
I do, yeah.
How do we meet?
It was at APE. In San Francisco. Yeah, I don't know exactly what year it was, but I remember like meeting you and being like, did we go to high school together? Because you look so familiar to me. But we didn't. And
we grew up very close to each other though, right?
We did.
Geographically.
Yeah. And I believe we either traded mini comics or we just like we must have traded.
Yeah, we must have traded because I had a collection of early Raina Telgemeier comics.
Yeah, we've got
that
some
are probably
slides.
worth a lot of money. Now.
This is a picture. Wait, go back. Okay, so that's me with Jen Wang, who did The Prince and the Dressmaker, and Vera Brasgal, who's the creator of Be Prepared and Anya's Ghost.
Yeah.
And the Plain Jane and the Mermaid.
Yeah, we were all very young. So this is, I'm with a guy named Jesse Ham, who did some work for both Marvel and DC. And then Derek Kirk Kim currently has, he actually went into animation. So if you've ever watched Adventure Time, he worked on that show. And now he's back in comics. He's doing a book called Last Mermaid. And then the last guy in that photo, I don't totally remember. I don't totally remember who he was.
This happens. It's okay.
and here's another photo of you at a different convention.
That's Stumptown in Portland, Oregon. And the young lady sitting next to me is Scott McCloud's daughter when she was 11.
What are some of your favorite memories from this time?
Sitting next to Scott McCloud's daughter when she was 11. No, just, I mean, the nice thing about comics is it's not a very big community. And so, like, the people that you just meet and the people that you trade comics with and that you sit next to at conventions, they become your friends and they become your peers. And the next thing you know, you're sitting on stage together 20 years later and, like, looking back at old photos. And you're like, "Aw, Gene, that was fun."
Yeah, that really was fun. I mean, I think what I remember from those times was just being really, really poor.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And like buying one meal and splitting it between 4 cartoonists, or like getting a hotel room and then sneaking like 12 people in there.
Yeah.
And then we would rotate over the beds every night. You remember that?
I never did that, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was with a different crew. But and all of those things, they felt really hard at the time. But now when we look back, it was actually kind of fun.
Yeah,
so
for yourself.
And here's another photo.
Yeah, this is at Comic-Con. In the center here, this is Lark Pien, who...
Yeah, she colored American Born Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've worked with her
on multiple projects. Yeah, we're very good friends. And then right here, you're actually sitting in front of a Comics Bakery sign. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
That's kind of just the group of friends and like the name that we used to use for our little group that we used to exhibit with. Right next to me in this photo is John Patrick Green, who does the Investigators series now.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just like the people that you hang with. You're just like, you have no idea who's going to end up doing what.
Yeah.
And we just really didn't know at this time. We were just kids making comics. And I think that's kind of the point that we're trying to make here. It's just like, you're just friends. You're just doing stuff. We also didn't know where the comics industry was going. Nobody did.
No.
There kind of weren't big publishers at this time. Like Scholastic Graphics did not exist yet. First Second had not really published big books yet, and we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah, I think one of the lessons that I take from this time is sometimes you have to take a risk without really being able to see the road ahead of you.
Yeah.
Right? At the time, nobody knew what a graphic novel was, but we were still making graphic novels.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do that, when you take a step, the road kind of appears after you take the step. Right, and that's sort of, I feel like when I look at photos of this time, that's what I remember. We were taking steps without really knowing where we were going.
Totally.
And this is one of the earliest photos I could find of both of us together. We're super blurry because I think the person who took this photo, he's a friend of ours named Tin Pham. I'm pretty sure he was focused on something else, and we were just in the background, so he just cut this out.
Classic.
And sent it to us. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any memories of being on panels or anything?
Oh yeah, they're all blurry. Like Tin Pham and his photo taking.
Yeah. And that some of that is because of how long we've been at it.
Exactly.
Here are some of Raina's earliest books. When we met, we must have traded. Like I must have gotten a copy of Takeout.
Yeah.
Right? We must have traded for this. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the series was about?
They were just self-published. I did some of the short stories in college, and I just went to Kinko's. You probably don't even know what that is, you guys. It was a place where you made Xeroxes. You probably don't know what those are either. Yeah. You made black and white photocopies. You don't know what those are either. anyways, it is an old-fashioned technology that lets you reproduce things, and we made mini comics there.
But these were hand stapled.
Yes.
Right? So when somebody came up to you and bought one of these, this was something that was lovingly put together by Raina Telgemeier.
Yeah, and I sold them for 25 cents a piece.
Yeah, that's right.
And people bought them from me for 25 cents a piece. But then sometimes you would trade them with other cartoonists. So then Gene's stuff is on the next slide. These are the mini comics that Gene was making.
Yeah.
And this is like what American-born Chinese looked like when I was able to read it for the first time.
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, I only got the first issue, and I thought that was the end of the story. So I was like, well, that was cool. And then when I finally read the graphic novel, I was like, oh my gosh, there was more. Oh, I had no idea.
I mean, but Smile also showed up, like bits of Smile showed up in Takeout,
that's
right?
True. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, one of the stunning things is we were doing this in our 20s as young people. We were hand making these comics, and these comics eventually became these full color graphic novels.
Yeah.
Was that something that you were anticipating when you were working on Takeout?
I mean, I actually started Smile as a webcomic in 2004. So I was putting one page up on the internet every week. I was also working on the Babysitter's Club graphic novels at the time. So it was all in the same format. And I was like, I'll probably publish this as a book eventually. So I was thinking about it, but I wasn't worrying about it. It was just like dashed off at the end of the week, scanned onto the computer, just tossed up on the web.
Did the pages that you drew for the web end up in the final book?
Most of them did.
You did? Wow.
I think there's a few examples in Facing Feelings of like the old versions of a couple of pages from Smile that did not make the final print copy of the book.
I see.
Yeah.
Most of it was there.
Most of it's there.
So kids sitting in this audience now are reading pages that you did like 20 years ago.
Yes. Oh, that's painful, but yes.
But also kind of stunning,
yeah.
Right? That art that you did 20 years ago is still relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. And I think one of the things that's very lucky about both Raina and I is we were involved in comics at a time when comics kind of went through this entire explosion.
Yeah.
And we rode that explosion. Our careers are kind of built on that explosion. So here are some photos from the past maybe 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
This one right here, we are at the National Book Festival, which is in Washington, D.C. It was a book festival that was started by Laura Bush, and it's a very fancy affair, right? The gala the night before is very fancy. We're all dressed up. And you were invited there as a cartoonist.
Yeah.
Is that something you could have imagined when you started off?
Oh, no way. But you had also just been announced as the National Ambassador for Children's Literature. Oh, no. Sorry, you had just been announced as a MacArthur Genius.
Oh, before this one.
Yeah. And I think someone had taped a sign to your back that said Genius.
That's right. That was Shannon Hale.
That was Shannon's doing. So everybody was like, instead of kick me, your sign said Genius.
That's true.
That sounds like
and then right here, we're very fancy at an award ceremony. So you, the E, if you've noticed a golden E on the corner of Smile, Sisters, and Guts, that is the top honor in the American comic book industry, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about what that was like to get the
Eisner Award?
Your first Eisner was for Smile, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about that experience?
Sure. The Eisner is considered the Oscar of comics. But there's 27 or 28 different categories of the Eisner. So it was the best children's comic, I guess. And then a few years later, I won for best writer artist. And then at that point, people knew who I was. So now it seems like, oh, I've gotten nominated for many Eisners and I've won many Eisners. I think I have 6 Eisners now, which is wild. But I couldn't have imagined when I was starting out that I would ever even be recognized by the comics community, because the comics community used to be, Marvel, DC, maybe Image, comic books. That's what the Eisners used to be. And now comic books can also include American-born Chinese and Smile and El Defo by C.C. Bell. And I think I love it too. It's such a good book. And that same year where Gene and I are toasting our Eisners, Cece won an Eisner too. A bunch of people that we know and like won that year. And I think it's because we had sort of announced to our peers and our posse and our friends that librarians are allowed to vote for Eisners too. So like we had sort of gotten the word out there, and suddenly like all the kidlit folks we knew got Eisners, and people like from Marvel and DC were like stewing in the background, and they were like, man, this isn't fair. And we were like, no, there's just been a sea change. So we were all giddy that night. But the thing is like now it's everybody. Like now it's just like comics are such a shared piece of literature and media. And I don't know, it's been wonderful to kind of see everybody share that.
Yeah, that's right. Now you'll see like a Daredevil artist or a Spider-Man artist standing next to a graphic novelist at the same award ceremony, which has been really nice.
Yeah,
but I think this is also another example of how when Raina started making her books, she wasn't sure if there was an audience for it at all, and the road appears for you after you take the first step, right?
It's a good metaphor.
Speaking of that, I think both of us have had experiences of doing things that we just could not have imagined when we were starting off as cartoonists. We've both done works with museums. So I have a mural right now in the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. It's basically 3 pages. Thank you.
So cool, Gene.
It's 3 pages of comics about 3 different basketball players that all have Bay Area connections. And Raina has also done something with a museum. So
wait, let's go back for 1 second.
Okay.
You got to go see this. It's at the SF MoMA. It's so cool. Isn't it before you even have to pay to get in?
You don't have to pay to get in. That's true.
Okay,
you don't have to pay to see this.
Go and like hang out at your Buena Gardens and like go inside the MoMA and like go up to the 2nd floor mezzanine and go see Gene Mural. Also go to the rest of the museum. Pay to go inside, but like go see this whenever you can. When is it up until? Do you know?
It's up until next June.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I got to see it earlier this year, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's larger than life. It's I have a cool selfie in front of it with you.
Well, thank you, Raina. I mean, I do think, more broadly speaking, it's kind of crazy that you have comics in a museum now, right?
In the SF MoMA.
Yeah, it's like
awesome.
the change in the public perception of comics has been stunning. Has been really wild to see.
Also, Dragon Hoops is such a cool book.
Oh, well, thanks.
And it's all about Bishop O'Dowd in Oakland and like their team and their coach, and like the fact that you've like been able to tie like Oakland and basketball and Coach Lou, and like I mean it's such a local thing, and like it belongs in that museum.
Yeah, well, yeah, being from the Bay Area is awesome. We have so many great stories in our community.
It's so cool.
It's really
Did I get it right, Coach Lou, right?
Yes, you
Oh my God,
did.
okay.
You totally did.
Like,
all right, so let's talk about your museum experience. The book that we're celebrating today began as an exhibit. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Sure. So there's this amazing museum in Columbus, Ohio called the Billy Ireland Cartoon the Billy Ireland Cartoon Library and Museum on the Ohio State University campus in Columbus, Ohio. Such a mouthful. We call it the Billy. It's much easier. And they are a cartoon art museum. This is why they're so cool. They house the entire collection of Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson. They house the entirety of Bone by Jeff Smith. They have a huge collection of Little Nemo and Slumberland by Winsor McKay. They house a ton of Dick Tracy. They house like a ton of just old comic art. You can go into their vault. You can look at anything you want. It's all climate controlled. They have such a love for the medium. And the people that work there are fantastic. And the first time I went there was in 2014, right after they had reopened. They have been around for a long time, but they had just renovated their gallery space and everything else. And I went there for a Calvin and Hobbes exhibit, and I got to see a bunch of original art from Calvin and Hobbes, and I just spontaneously wept when I looked at it because I could see the whiteout on the pages. And so lines that I had memorized as a child, suddenly I saw that they were not perfect lines. They were not just the lines that Bill Watterson had put down spontaneously on the page, but rather ones that he had like taken back. Yep. And apologized for with whiteout, and that there were pencil lines that you could see underneath it. And I was like, oh my God, he's not perfect. I had such a moment with it. And I've been back there several times since, and it's like a pilgrimage for me, like seeing cartoon art, which has always been considered like a low art form, treated with reverence, treated the way that your art is treated at the MoMA. Like it deserves that large space. So in 2021, 22, I forget when it was, Anne Drost, who is one of my good friends and now works at the Billy, she approached me and she said, hey, the Billy wants to do a huge retrospective of your work. I was like, stop it. What are you talking about? No. And she was like, yes. we think you belong here, Raina. And I was like, all right. This is not happening, but all right.
But it happened.
Yeah.
And when you walk into this building, this is some of what you see, right?
Yeah. It took a couple of years to make it happen. It was a lot of planning. Anne came to my studio here in California, and we sat down together. She went through my entire collection, all of the books that I've made, all of the work from my mini comics in college, all of my childhood art. And the lens was on the 6 primary emotions. So joy, disgust, sadness, anger, fear, and always surprise. And she took that and used that to curate. So basically made 6 piles. But then she also wanted to tell the story of kind of my life and my journey. And so it was 2 huge gallery spaces, and I think about 250 pieces of art to create this exhibit.
That's amazing.
And then I wrote all of the annotations that go on the walls. She also put in a bunch of my inspirations. She put my Girl Scout badges into the show. I got to be on the wall next to Calvin and Hobbes, which was incredible. But also, photos from my collection. And so it was things like, here's a bunch of faces Calvin is making, and then some photos of me making like sneery faces at the camera just to kind of show the 2 side by side. And it I was so blown away by it. It was out of body for me. I got to, I flew my parents out to see it, and just, I'm like out of words. I have the feelings. I can go through the 6 primary emotions and telling you what it felt like, but I'm also just like, Anyway, most museum exhibits have a show catalog. You're holding the show catalog in your hands right now. It just took 2 years to make it happen. So that's what this book is.
So the exhibit was on for most of 2023, is that right?
It was 6 months.
6 months in 2023.
Yeah.
And for people who were not able to see the exhibit, they can hold essentially a book about the exhibit in their hands.
This is it.
Now.
Yeah.
And that's what Facing Feelings, the book is.
Yes.
It's like a book version of what was on those walls.
That's exactly it.
What was it like physically walking through your life and your artwork and all that?
It's wild because even though it is my artwork, and even though I was there for, I made it, and then I was with Anne while she was choosing everything, she still told a story with it that I did not participate in. So when I saw it all there, I felt like I was experiencing it for the first time, and that I got to witness it in a different way. And I was like, wow, oh, interesting. Like I got to read that story. And then when the book was put together, it was about a year later. And even though I wrote these annotations and I was involved in every single step of it, I still got to read it as if it was the first time. Mm-hmm. So I got to go through those emotions again as if for the first time. Yeah. So... Yeah.
The book is organized the same way the exhibit is, right? It's organized by those 6 emotions.
Yeah.
But you also get to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that was on display. So a lot of your early work is on display here.
You can go back one slide. Yeah, there you go. So a lot of the stuff that I was talking about with my mini comics is there. And you get to see a lot of my process, which is not something that people always get to see. And I think as much as I love everything about what's on the shelves right now in the graphic novel section, they're very lushly produced. Everything is very finished. It's very colorful. It's very, perfect looking. You don't always get to see this, like the sketchy stuff and the scribble scrabble and the process. This is what my writing looks like. So when I'm writing a script, I don't type a script. I don't write it in prose. I write like this. I write in thumbnails. I write in sketch form. So my idea is in my head. And then when I start to write, I write like this. So that's what my editor sees when she sees my writing for the first time. I do a whole book that looks like this. So
can I ask how long does a page like this take? Like a page of sketching?
I mean, when I'm writing and I'm sketching, and I may do 5 to 10 pages like that in a day, and then I may not write again for another 3 or 4 days, and then I might throw that away and write it again. So I might take 6 months to write a full script like that.
I see.
I also might take a year to write a full script like that.
And then editing the script means redrawing pages.
Yes, it does. If she needs to tweak something, it might mean redrawing a few panels here and there. But if she says, I really hate this character arc and we need to take this character out entirely, that's a lot of revising. And it means redrawing things too. But that's worth it.
Yeah.
It's just what I expect. Yeah.
So what this means is that writing isn't just about typing on a typewriter or a computer. Writing can be a form, like drawing can be a form of writing as well.
But when that's done, I have a blueprint for what the book is going to look like. So when I'm doing my final art, I don't really have to think very hard. I just have to do like tighter drawings.
I see. And then how about the pages here?
Yeah.
So this I'm seeing pages at various stages of production, right? You have some penciled pages, some inked pages. How do you move from one stage to the other?
What you saw before was some thumbnails, and then you're right, that's what my pencils look like. I'm using the same piece of paper to do inks, and everything's traditionally done. So I am penciling with a pencil on paper. I am inking with a brush and a bottle of India ink, which means I am messy and spill and get ink dots on things. And yeah, I'm still pretty traditional. I have a little bit of a hybrid process now. So I'm doing my layouts on a tablet with like a Procreate or something like that. But I'm still printing that out onto paper and then penciling and inking on top of it. So, I mean, in the end, this is what my finished art looks like. And that's in the book too, because I think it's important to see up close what the imperfections look like. Yeah. And also just that's finished art. It's not in color. The color is done digitally, but I don't do that part myself. So what I'm left with at the end of the day is still a pile that looks like this. Mm-hmm. And I still think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I love what original art looks like.
What do you hope your readers will get out of seeing all of this process?
I hope that what someone sees, especially a younger artist, is that they can do this too. There's not such a big leap between what your sketchbook looks like and my sketchbook looks like, and what your art looks like and what my finished art looks like. It's like, you can do this too. It's like when I look at Calvin and Hobbes and I see those white outlines and I see, wait a minute, all he did was make a line that looks like that. I can make a line that looks like that. Or like I can practice and I can get to that stage faster than I thought I could. Like that perfect finished artwork is not what I'm aiming for. I want something that feels real.
Yeah.
So I want people to see what's real. And that it's possible.
I think that's one of the most stunning things about this book is that by looking at the stages of a world-renowned cartoonist, you kind of get a sense, this is possible for anybody, right? This is no matter how young you are, you can start on your own comic. I wanna end on a couple of things. This is one of them. This is in the book. This is in the book, and I wanted to end on this because, like, when you were a kid, your smile, your teeth were a huge source of pain for you, right? They were a huge source of pain. Anybody who's read the book Smile knows. But now as an adult, in a way, you could say that like a lot of your success is rooted in the pain from your childhood. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, about the relationship between maybe some of the hard stuff you go through as a kid and who you are as an adult?
I'm smiling so big right now. Isn't that ironic? Anyone Dr. Dugoni patients in the audience? Shout out to South City. Okay. I usually meet people that are like, wait, I have him right now because he's still practicing. I get off track when I do that. Yeah, I mean, the question sometimes that I get asked is, do you wish that had never happened to you? And I don't feel that way about anything bad that's happened to me. It's like, well, if I hadn't knocked out my teeth, then I would have never had the experience that allowed me to write this book. So no, I don't wish that. And I feel the same way about anything that is negative. It's like, well, no, because I wouldn't have met this person as a result of that thing, or I wouldn't have had this experience as a result. You know, it's like anything that you go through leads you to where you were, where you ended up. And I don't know. I don't really believe in that type of thinking.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially for artists, the bad things that we go through in life end up becoming the seeds of our art. And I see that in your work again and again and again. So I think that also, like, that thought also gives you some hope, right? When you're going through something bad, maybe something good and something artistic will come out of it in the future.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Well, I thought right before we do questions, we could talk up some of our friends. We have lots of talented cartoonist friends. Yesterday, I emailed Raina for some recommendations. You want to talk about the ones that you gave me that are on this slide?
I mean, we both threw out a couple of ideas. That some of them are friends, some of them are local to the area. One of them is Almost Sunset by our friend Wahab, who lives in the East Bay. This one is about a kid who is fasting for Ramadan, but he's also a soccer player. And so he's like, how do I go through like being in sports, but also being really, really hungry for these weeks? But of course he does. He gets through those weeks somehow. But I think, it's really like relatable, even for me. Like, I don't have to fast, but I still felt a lot of what the kid in this book is going through.
I think that goes to the whole thing about pain. Like, he's really funny about it.
Yeah.
Too, right? He's really funny about the pain that he's going through. And it like he pulled something artistic out of that.
Yeah. And then Be Prepared is by Vera Brosgol. And it's not exactly autobiographical, but it is about a girl named Vera who goes to like Russian Orthodox summer camp and has a sad experience there because she feels like she can't make friends and like she has to poop in the woods, and it's just but of course it's about like resilience and you know, just like all the stuff that you deal with at camp. And I don't know, I also found it like the experiences that I've been through are not relatable exactly to hers, but just the story of like who Vera is and who she becomes along the way. I was like, I can relate to every single thing about this. It's also just really beautifully drawn. She's one of the best cartoonists working today. She has an animation background and her timing is just unbelievably good. Brianna Lowenson is one of I almost said Tin. I almost called you Tin. Oh my God. One of Jean's like oldest cartooning buddies, one of our good friends. And she wrote this book, Raised by Ghosts. She's from the East Bay, and you can see it in every single one of her panels. That's right. This is a book about kind of being raised by absentee parents and just like riding AC transit and like being in middle school and high school and feeling lonely, but making something out of that. And it's about like trading notes with your friends and feeling like your friends are your family in a lot of ways, and just like make mixtapes. And I don't even really know what to say, except it's really evocative, especially if you are a 90s kid. But even if you are not a 90s kid, it's just, I don't know, it's so beautifully drawn. It feels like not rose-colored glasses exactly, but just there is such a tint to it that is gorgeous. And then finally, Family Style by our actual bro Tin Fam, who is not you. You were not Tin Fam. People call Tin Fam Jean all the time. That's why I'm giving you a little bit of a hard time about it. But this is about Tin's experience immigrating from Vietnam with his family and then setting up, you know, a new life in America. But it is all about that through the lens of food. So tasting, home cooking in Vietnam when he was a really small child, and then coming to America and like eating steak for the first time, and then eating cafeteria food for the first time, and then eating potato chips for the first time. And so each chapter is organized around like the flavor of a different food, and then just kind of growing up here and like having to learn English and making friends and eventually becoming a citizen. But it's just, I don't know, it's so warm. It's so loving. And his family's relationship is so beautiful that, I don't know. I mean, I know Tin really well anyway, but after reading this book, I was like, I feel like I just want to hug you. And he just did one book, one San Diego this weekend, and got to go down there and share the book with the community. And if you can't tell, I love my friends a whole lot. And I love to share their books with people. And I'm always so excited to be able to share their books, their friendship. I love that I have gotten to share stages with my friends on this tour. It's so much fun sitting up here with Jean and just talking about comics and about, the years that we've known each other and like the times that we've shared and just coming up together in comics. It was really cool that, in the beginning, which is kind of like 2004, 2005, 2006, when the Babysitters Club was first being published and our publishers were first getting off the ground, people were like, there's this publisher called First Second, and there's going to be this book called American Born Chinese. There's this guy named Jean Lewin Yang, and he's really something. And I was like, oh, I know that guy. It just, I don't know. It was really a nice way to start. And it was really great to see like the publishers showing you as like their first special guy and like the first book that was really going to like be something.
I think just the community is a great reason to make art, right? Like the friendships that you make through an art is a great reason to make art.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It just, I don't know. This is my last stop on this tour, and I'm really happy that it's here in San Francisco. Obviously, I'm just always so proud of my hometown and to be from here and to have such a wonderful comics community here in the book. I'm just like glowing right now. But it's special, and I thank you, Jean, and I thank you for everything.
Oh, thanks, Raina. Thank you. Well, I've asked Raina a lot of questions, and I want to give the audience a chance to ask her your questions. Does anyone have a question for Raina?
All right. We're going to start on this side. Let's go with you.
Raina, do you have any children?
I have one cat and no children.
What inspired you to write books?
I'm mostly inspired to write books by when I was reading comics when I was younger, and then from my own life.
In drama, how Callie's last name is Marin, did you get that from Marin?
I did. In fact, all of the characters in drama have last names based on California counties.
Nice catch.
I just feel like you've put so much of your life into the books, and I feel like it's sometimes things that people wouldn't normally just tell people, but you've just opened up that to the whole world. Like, how do you do that?
Thanks. No shame. That's true. But it's cathartic for me, and I find that when I'm really truthful, it helps other people be truthful too. So that means that sometimes we can have a really good exchange about it, and we both usually feel better afterwards.
Hi.
I like how you include characters from other series of books that you've written in those books, and it's like a little scavenger hunt to go and look for the other characters.
Those are called Easter eggs.
What happened to like all the friends who were like mean to you in like Smile? Are you still friends? Are you still friends with them?
I mean, I don't know. Are any of you guys here tonight? In some cases, a lot of us are still friends, yeah.
For the Babysitters Club, did you read the 4 books when you were a kid?
Yes, I did. I was a huge fan. I know we have a few people in the back that have their hands up too. I want to make sure we get to some of those.
We're going to make our way back.
Okay, good.
How did you get the inspiration to smile?
I had a whole big terrible thing happen to me with my teeth in middle school, and I just had told that story so many times, but it had a lot of visuals that I needed to show and explain to people. So I was like, let me just draw a comic about this so I can stop having to tell that story over and over again.
How do you cope with your anxiety?
Good question.
How much time do we have for this one? Therapy. Honestly, drawing and writing helped me a lot. So drawing and writing comics helped me a lot. And I find that sharing with other people is really helpful. So drawing and writing comics about my anxiety turns out to be really helpful.
What's your favorite book that you've made?
Do you have an answer for this one, Jean? I'm gonna let Jean answer some questions too.
My answer is always the current one that I'm working on. Because you have to be a little bit in love with it, right, to finish it.
I don't have a favorite, but Smile is my most personal book and the closest one to me.
How old were you when you made your first comic? And I also have something for you.
Oh, thank you. You can hand it to the staff when it's time for the photograph. Thank you. I made my first comic when I was 9, and I had my first published comic when I was 28. Took a while. Jean, how old were you when your first comic was published?
I was in 5th grade.
Oh.
What is that, 11, 12,
Yeah.
11? No, I was not published.
Oh.
No, my first published comic, late 20s.
Okay.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
We have the same story.
Sorry, this is kind of a weird question, but my social studies teacher, Mr. Lee, his name is Ray Lee, and he went to your middle school.
Oh.
And he tells me that he was friends with you in middle school and high school. Do you know him?
That is correct, yes. AP Giannini?
Yeah.
Yep. Can confirm.
Oh, well, just so you know, you're my favorite author. No offense.
I'm not offended at all.
Yeah.
He's my favorite author, too.
Oh, okay. Well, then we have something in common. Anyway, wait. Yeah. So, do you have any advice for someone our age, if we want to be like a comic book graphic design, graphic what? Graphic, yeah, that. When we grow up.
I guess really it's just about making comics now. The grown-up thing will happen eventually, but it's really just start now. I wrote the Cartoonist Club very much in the spirit of, this is some stuff you can do now, here's some ideas, but from there it's really just about doing it for yourself. Find a community and find a place to really just have fun and do it because you love it and make a bunch of stuff.
I see that there's a paintbrush in her mouth and there's a toothbrush there. Can you tell me why they aren't switched? Because I think a paintbrush would be much better in painting supplies and a toothbrush is more for your teeth than a paintbrush.
It's a very astute observation. The paintbrush is actually in the box because when you're in painting class and especially watercolor class, it's a tool. You can use it to flick paint onto your canvas. So you can put water on it or you can put paint on it and then you flick the bristles over your paper or your canvas and it makes a speckled effect. So the toothbrush is not there meaning to be used for a toothbrush, but rather as a painting tool.
Have you got over your fear of vomit?
Not even remotely. So please do not breathe on me too much if you have a virus today, because I do not want it.
Hi. So, I mean, obviously, I have to assume there's a pretty long path before getting, museum exhibits named after you and stuff. And I mean, I know you taught high school for a number of years, and I have to assume there was some day job before now. How did you manage like day-to-day responsibilities and paying rent while you were continuing to put out comic work at this volume?
I didn't teach high school. You taught high school.
I did. I taught high school for a long time. I taught high school for 17 years. I've only been a full-time cartoonist for 10. So I was a teacher for longer than I was a full-time cartoonist.
I mean, I had a job in book publishing for a little while. I also had really cheap rent. I lived in New York City, and
home of cheap rent.
This was in the early aughts. I had an $1,100 apartment with 2 other cartoonists.
So it was cheap.
And my rent, I had the crummiest bedroom. It was not very big. I paid $350 in rent.
Amazing.
In that apartment for like
in New York City.
For like 3 years, yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I took the subway to work. I didn't have a car. I didn't have car insurance. I ate like rice and beans for dinner. I didn't go out. I stayed at home and made comics after work. Yeah. So like I led like the ramen life for quite a while. And I got my first book advance for Babysitters Club and used it to pay off my student loan. Yeah, like I was really like dedicated to the bit for a very long time. And I mean, my day job didn't pay that much, but any money that I did make like went right back into doing what I was doing. Yeah. And then eventually I started earning royalties. I mean, I did odd jobs and I took on extra freelance work. I just didn't have money for a long time. That was really the truth. Yeah. Why am I looking at you? I'm sorry. I'm like,
I mean, I think that's a very common story.
Yeah.
Is that you sort of take all of your free time, instead of watching TV or playing golf or whatever, you put it into comics.
Yeah, it's really what I did.
We've got time for 2 more questions.
In the back here.
My name is Mina, and I go to Lakeshore. Oh. And our librarian says that she knows you. Her name is Miss Lauren. Do you know her?
What is her last name?
I don't know. She goes,
okay. I want to say she has emailed me, but I'm not sure if I know her personally.
She said that you gave her one of your books and it was like in Chinese or something.
Oh. See, this is where it gets a little dicey because I have met a lot of people. And I do know Mr. Lee because we did go to middle school together, and we have seen each other at a lot of like high school reunions and stuff. I would like to meet Miss Lauren though, if she is the librarian at Lakeshore, because that is very cool. It's very possible that I have met her, but I need to know her last name in order to corroborate this story.
Okay, we're going to take one last question right here.
When you were a kid, did you have any other hobbies than making comics?
See, Mom and Dad could probably answer that question better than me. Jean, did you have any other hobbies when you were a kid?
I like Legos.
I liked all sorts of stuff. I like to roller skate. I like to ice skate. I like to go to Disneyland very much. I just liked like animation, and I loved roller coasters. I liked Legos too. What else was I into? I don't know. Everything. I was a kid. I liked kid stuff. I liked video games, but video games didn't really exist until I was like 11. Like I didn't have a Nintendo until I was 11. And then I became obsessed with that. Why do I keep looking at you? I'm like, Jean, tell me my hobbies.
Nintendo is a great place to end.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Let's end with branding. It's perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for celebrating Facing Feelings with us. Again, we're going to have a photo op outside. Unfortunately, because it's a school night, we want to make sure you all can get home on time. So please, no signing. We'll just do photos. Thank you again. Thank you for coming out. Wonderful to see you all here. Thank you.